Sorry, guys, I kind of look like a train wreck right now. But we got yet another storm that was so hyped up and nothing happened. So I even set my GoPro up outside to get a cool time lapse, and nothing happened. Just a little tidbit. I got the GoPro Hero 10 Black. The battery on this thing sucks. I just did a time lapse that was like maybe 35, 40 minutes, and the battery went from 100% down to 25% or 26%. Time lapse actually looks pretty cool, man. Those were some mean clouds. Let's see if I can. Let's go back. I don't want to put it in a video because it's, the front of our house and all that stuff, but those clouds look cool. And then it gets like super dark there for a second. Okay, yeah, so anyways, point of this video. I don't know if you guys remember a couple months ago now, sadly to say, I had made, I don't think it was its own video, but I had made a clip and put it in a video that I applied for a new job. I was really excited about it. I thought it was pretty much going to be like a slam dunk, and, I thought I kind of had it in the bag. I didn't say what the job was, but it was applying to be a supervisor at the factory that I'm at now. So, not really something that I ever aspired to do. But since I've been there, I've had a handful of like bosses and supervisors that have suggested that I do it. Like they thought I would be great for it, which I don't know why, because I'm not confrontational. It would kill me to ever have to like walk somebody out and fire somebody. Like I don't want to write people up. So I don't really know why they think I'd be good at it, but one of my really good coworker friends that has been there as long as I have, we pretty much started together, so we're pretty close. He secretly, had applied for it. He was actually looking for a different job. He had an interview at the refinery. He was doing the testing for that. And then like 3 weeks later, like we're like, hey, whatever happened to that? He's like, nah. And just kind of got like real quiet about it. And then like shows up one morning wearing the supervisor vest. And we're like, wait a minute. So I've been kind of like more comfortable to ask him like the personal questions about it. Like I was like, at one point I pulled him to the side. I was like, you got to like man to man, friend to friend. I was like, is it worth it? Because I hear so many like back and forth. It's terrible. It's great. The money's awesome. The money's terrible. Management makes it miserable. Oh, it's so easy. So it's like, are you? I think it's a case of like we're gonna make it sound bad, so you don't apply or try to get it or whatever. But he's like, honestly, he's like, I'm making way more money, and I'm not on the line anymore. We work in a factory, so it's an assembly line. He's like, I don't go home, and wake up in pain in the middle of the night. He's like, I'm making way more money. I'm doing like so little physical work now, and just said it's very worth what he gets paid. And he's like one of the lowest paid supervisors. He said one thing I do wish is that he would have negotiated a little bit higher salary. So also salary scares me because you always hear like salary's not the way to do it. They'll screw you over in any way, shape, or form. So our salary, like, well, as a supervisor there, they get paid 45 hours, no matter what. If they work 20 hours that week, they're still getting that 45-hour pay, which is really cool. But you might think to yourself, well, that's where they screw you because, it's a factory. You're probably working a lot more than 40 hours, which sometimes you're right. Sometimes, like, we've been working 90 hours a week. So it's like, I better get paid for that, right? After 45 hours, 45 like clocked hours or whatever, they get paid overtime. And I don't know if it's just time and a half or if it ever switches to double time, but I know over 45, every hour is time and a half, which is really cool. So it's like you're salaried, but also you're not getting screwed over in the sense of like if you work more than 45 hours, you're not getting paid for it. Like my wife did that at one of her jobs. I don't remember which one it was, but she was salaried, which she kind of made more, but then they would screw her over and say, hey, we need you to come in this day. We need you to come in this day. We need you to cover this person. So then she's working more hours, but not getting paid for it. So, salary was always kind of like iffy to me, but I'm like, wow, that's great. So, for the most part, from people I've talked to, that was kind of a position like if they don't advertise it like to us out there on the floor, but like if you know the websites and links to go to, you can apply for it. And I'm sure they advertise on like, Indeed and stuff like that. But that's a position I always feel like that should be for people that work there that have experience. And I say that because when you don't know how the line functions, you're not a good supervisor. And I'm not saying that in a trash talking way. I'm saying that from experience. Every supervisor they've ever brought in there off the street that doesn't know how things work, they come in for a few months, they have that big, yeah, I'm going to fix this place, I'm going to fix all the issues, and this line's going to be running great because I'm going to crack down and go by the book. And they're gone because it was terrible. So, 9 out of 10 of the supervisors that they've brought from the line are still there or have been there for years or, like are fairly good. There's a few that are like, but that's just like an ego power trip, I'm going to write everybody up kind of thing. But they understand how the line works, which makes a big difference. But anyways, it kind of has always been one of those things where like if you apply for it, you're getting an interview and they don't have a lot of applicants, so like a lot of times you get the spot. And especially when you have, high seniority, you've been with the company for a long time, that looks a lot better on you. So in my head, I had, a couple supervisors in there like rooting for me, putting my name in their ears. And I had the very high up, like the superintendent or whatever the heck you call it, also, putting in a good word for me. So I'm like, oh, dude, I got this in the bag. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get it, but, for sure I'm going to get that interview and I'm going to wow them. So, like, I typed out my resume. I made a cover letter. I even went out to the store and I bought these, like, nice kind of not paper folders, but, like they're like vinyl or something where you put, like, the cover letter in it and it's got, like, the binder clips or whatever. And I got this nice like accordion folder to keep them in, and I put a brand new notebook in there and a pencil and a pen and stuff. And I was like, when I get this interview, I'm gonna pull this out, pull out this notebook, take notes. I'm gonna be able to hand them all like my resume and cover letter on this nice folder. I was like, I'm gonna make a great impression. Never got the interview. This was in, I think, March. I first applied, beginning of March, and here we are at the end of July. I've applied, like they have taken the post down and reposted it numerous times. I've applied every time. I've applied like 3 or 4 times now. I've talked to people in HR, like I've physically handed them copies of my resumes. That was it. The superintendent guy, he's like, yeah, you're on the list for an interview. You should be the next one. You should be the next one. Nothing. So, kind of lost hopes on that. Definitely not going to stop trying, but that's what it was. I didn't get it as of right now. But I did just accept a new position. So I work on, so there's 3 lines that we build parts for 3 different vehicles. And then there's the materials group or classification. Like each line is a classification, I believe they call it. And then there's materials, which is another classification. Materials is kind of self-explanatory. They bring the materials to the line, nuts and bolts and screws and trim pieces. And, like every single thing that you use, materials has stock that. Some jobs and materials, like you're grabbing stuff and putting it in a cart and sending it up there. Some jobs you're driving the forklift all day. Some jobs you're driving a forklift and, loading parts in carts and stuff like that. I got certified on the high-low forklift a little over a month ago now. I absolutely love it. But I'm just kind of like a backup, like if they need some help and I can get covered, then I can go back there and help. But that's only been like twice. So a utility spot opened up, which is basically somebody that gets trained on everything in materials. Like where if you're utility on this line, this whole line. If you're utility on this line, this whole line. If you're utility in materials, all the materials jobs. I don't want that. I don't like going into work and not knowing where I'm going to be or what I'm going to be doing every day. I don't know. It just bugs me. Like, I just like to know, like, okay, boom, I go here every day. I do this job. I go home. So a utility spot opened up because you cannot bump from line to line or from like classification to classification, which I think is really stupid, but that's how it is. But you can bump anywhere in that classification based on your seniority. So if there's Joe is number one, and then Bob is number two, and then I'm number three, and then I've got 5 people under me, I can bump anywhere that those 5 people under me are, and then Bob or Joe above me can bump me and all of them basically. So that's how that works. That's how seniority works. So it's a utility spot open. So that was my way to sign a bid list to go back to materials. And then what I can do is I can use my bump, which you get 1 bump every 6 months, or like you can't bump for 6 months when you bump or something like that. But you get the point. I can go to utility spot, and then I can bump somebody out of a permanent spot that I have more seniority than. And I don't like doing that. The bumping system, like, I get it. That's how it should be. But also, like, me and my own personal, like, morals, I don't like being that person. But the perfect news is the spot that I want, the guy that's doing it isn't like, that's not what he wanted. He just took it because it was an open spot. So for me to bump him, it's not going to be like, oh, what a dick, something like that. So super excited about that. I don't know when I actually start in there. Today's Wednesday, the 26th or 5th or something like that. I would assume maybe Monday, this upcoming Monday, but I'm not really sure. But I'm also like super nervous because this is like essentially a whole new job. I'm not around my people anymore. I'm not on the line anymore where I've been for 12 years. So I did go through a little bit of emotions earlier. Like, I was scared, like excited, but like also scared and nervous. And then super sad because I'm not going to be working by all my buddies anymore. And, so it's kind of like this, but also our hours suck. And for me to stay, I have to fight sometimes to try to be able to stay, and then sometimes I can't even stay. So in materials, if you want to get done with the line or early, it's possible. You got to work a little bit harder, but it's possible. But there's so many more opportunities for me to get more hours if I want, and come in on weekends if they're not scheduled and stuff like that. So financially, over everything right now, financially, I think it's the smartest thing for me to do because, like I said, I'd be able to get more hours. Like if I get done, but there's somebody on the other line that might be here for a couple more hours, but they want to go home, I say, hey, go ahead and head home. I'll take your spot. Obviously I got to be trained on that spot, but, it gives me more opportunity. And, I guess it just looks better on me too to just have more stuff under my belt. I'm not giving up on the supervisor spot, but I'm not holding my breath on it either. So, maybe this will help me out, getting more stuff under my belt, learning more about the plant, because I've been on the line since I started there, 12, 13 years ago. So just want to make this update video for you guys. And sorry, I know it's just me talking, kind of boring, but I literally haven't really done anything. But we're going to have some cool videos coming up because we did go to the quarry recently, 2 different quarries. Long stories about those, because, nothing for us can ever just go smooth the way it's supposed to. There's always got to be some sort of drama or problems or issues. So those videos will be coming up because those already happened, but we're also going again this weekend, I think. So I'll probably like add that to it because these videos might be a little bit short. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, if you did watch, and I appreciate it. I do have some more Florida videos coming. I just have not had the time to edit, honestly. And, well, to be truthful, I kind of have, but there's been some days where I'm like, I just need to go to bed, get a little bit extra sleep. So, all right, guys, I will see you soon, and more videos coming, I promise.